and welcome to Upbeat and Beyond. I'm Mary Kay Kurtz. I'm publisher of the Upbeat Reporter, and today we're with Donna Alexander. She's an ERA Senior Real Estate Specialist, and we're going to talk about, she's a new advertiser for the Upbeat Reporter in September. The Upbeat Reporter is a Christian news magazine full of good news stories, hope, and direction for all the Texas Panhandle. We're available through all the Toot and Totems, United Supermarkets at 45th and Bell and Soncy and Canyon, and also in all the Texas Panhandle communities. So, first of all, I want to ask Donna, why did you become a senior real estate specialist?
I actually became a seniors real estate specialist because of my own family situation. My mom was 67, and she was living alone. She was single, and she was a marketing representative for rehab hospitals at the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And she was always dressed up and running around in her heels and having fun, very outgoing. And one night she went to bed, and very much like me, and but she had a stroke, and her world completely crumbled underneath her. And so at that point, of course, my brothers and I were kind of thrust in the role of caregiver and a problem solver and everything else. And so I learned a lot by baptism by fire kind of thing. And so I had that experience, and then several years later, with my dad and stepmother, Daddy passed away after a long illness, and my stepmother was basically kind of in the same situation. I mean, she had to, she was left with this big rambling house and dealing with the grief and the pain, and some repairs needed to be done on the house, and so it was just. It was very different situations for both of them. They were very different people, different personalities, different resources. But underlying, it was the same overwhelming burden that they both had to take care of everything. And so those experiences made me realize just how vulnerable we all are as we age, and making those transitions and doing those transactions. And so that's kind of what led me to it. And I was encouraged by my broker to go that direction. So that's how I got into it.
And what special treatment do you give to the elderly?
Okay. Well, a seniors real estate specialist is actually a designation from the National Association of Realtors. And I kind of see it as there's sort of three elements in it. The first element is the training and the ongoing awareness of the conditions and the issues for our older population. But then the second one is kind of a networking, a local network resource for those individuals, for those clients. And the third one is like a nationwide realtor referral system. And so what I can do for the clients is, first of all, I understand more of what they're going through because of my own experience with my parents, but also because of this training. We have extensive training on subjects that are pertinent to them, things like wills and probate and estate planning, things like reverse mortgages, different types of senior living, and things like that really affect them in this particular transaction.
I bet they really appreciate you.
Well, it does make it easier because I can identify, and of course I can't identify as the person that's going through it, but I certainly can identify as the adult child that's supporting that family. And so it does make a difference, I think. There's a lot of things I did wrong, and there's a lot of things that I would do differently if I had to do it over again. And I may get a chance to do that someday, who knows. But anyway, so what we learn is these transactions are a lot more emotional than your younger people buying and selling houses. If you have a 30, 40-year-old who's buying a new house, generally it's because they've gotten a big promotion, or they want a better school for their kids, or they're just in a position that they can buy a new house. And so it's positive, it's upbeat. But when you talk about seniors who are selling their family home that they've been in for 20 or 30 or 40 years or more, it's not generally that upbeat. They're more stressed, and it's they're giving up their memories of that home. Maybe their spouse passed away in that home, and their kids were raised there, and they have to get rid of so much of their stuff. And so it's a much more emotional sort of transaction. Lots of times we're dealing with grief, but besides that, we're also dealing with mental and physical decline, because as we get older, it's harder to understand what's going on. It's harder sometimes to see, it's harder to hear, it's harder to write your name or sign your name. And so as a seniors real estate specialist, my goal and my plan is to customize the transaction to make it as easy for the client as possible. And so if we need to do face-to-face meetings so that I can explain this paragraph or this document, that's certainly what I like to do, so that they're not reading it in an email kind of thing, But I do want them to be aware of what they're doing. I want them to understand it. And so I take a slower approach to make sure that they understand it and that they are aware of what's going on. So it's just a little bit more hand-holding. It takes a little longer. It's more fun, because I get a chance to know them and they get to tell me about their family. It's fun to watch them puff up about their kids and their grandkids, and they have pictures. They always show me pictures. So that part's really kind of fun. And they go through the house and tell me, this is where I took the picture of my kids going to prom, and this is where we used to put the Christmas tree and things like that. And so, they really share those things with me. And so it is a special kind of thing that I get to do.
A special person like you to
it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's very
make it tolerable, that hard transition for them.
It is a tough transition. I've never had a client say they wish they hadn't done it. Most of the time they say they wish they'd have done it sooner.
Really?
Typically there's two reasons why people move into senior living of any kind, and it's because they either can't take care of themselves or they can't take care of their home.
Right.
And either way, a lot of times there's repairs that need to be done, or they're not physically able, and so it is sort of a necessary evil. But for most of us, our house is our single largest investment. And from a logical standpoint, if you can't take care of the house, the best thing you can do is to cash it in and take the benefits that you've accumulated from that house and move on. But sometimes it's hard to see that, and and I'm not here to talk anybody into selling their house.
Right.
But when they come to that conclusion, I would love to be the one to help them out with it.
Well, that's great. That's great. Well, look for Donna's advertisement in the new September issue of the Upbeat Reporter. If you look at it online, theupbeatreporter.com, then when you click on her ad, it'll take you to your website. And so you'll have all the information you need to contact Donna. And I really appreciate you being with us today.
Well, thank you, Mary Kay.